think I will ask God why for the rest of my life, and never will I come to understand it. Even if God himself came in front of me and told me the reason, I don't think I would accept it. Some loves are too hard to bear, and with great love comes great pain, and with great loss comes the greatest pain of all. If love could have saved you, you would have lived forever.
Hi guys, welcome back to Piece of Ash, episode number 2. I'm so excited. I know y'all are. All the DMs I'm getting where y'all are pissed that I left y'all on a cliffhanger. I'm so sorry. That's the point of the game, is to get y'all to listen to this week's episode. As you can see, the setting is a little bit different. We are not at Botanical Brew. I'm actually sitting at home in my bed. So the episodes where I'm sitting at home comfortably, we're going to call Piece of Ash After Dark. The drink is obviously going to be a little bit different. I feel like I want to cue the song by Lil Wayne that's like, don't worry about what. I don't know if it's by Lil Wayne actually, but it's like, don't worry about what's in my cup, worry about what's in your cup. You know, where he's like talking like this. So, but I will actually tell you what's in my cup. It's muscadine juice, if you know what I mean. But it's my fave, by Dublin, whatever that's called. Sorry, I don't really know how to pronounce it. I just get it at English. So anyways, moving on. I do have to do my disclaimers. I feel like I have to warn people. So the disclaimer for today is still going to be, this episode may contain talking about drug abuse, physical abuse, and emotional abuse. And I think that's pretty much all we will touch on. Okay. And then also, if you are my child or one of my child's friends, anybody, or my father, get off. And we'll give them a second. Okay, great. Hopefully they listened. So, guys, the last time we were together, we were talking about how I had just arrived in Georgia, pulled up at like the pissy neighborhood with the pit bull puppies and the saggy boobs on the dogs and the 4 flats with the cars and, you know, like the townhomes and the ratchets. Okay, and my daddy pulled off on us. We're here. It's the first date. Let's walk in. Well, I told us that we are in the townhome. We're living with my grandma, her boyfriend, and my mom. My mom and I are sharing a queen size bed. If y'all remember, my grandma is a pillhead. She's an alcoholic. She drinks a 24 pack of Busch. She vacuums the same spot for 3 hours. Okay, everybody's caught up. My mom had just got out of prison not too long ago, and she's going to NA classes. Everybody's up to speed. Great. Okay, so let's discuss the first day of school. Okay, so I am living my life. I got to connect with my mom. I believe I went down there on maybe like a Wednesday or something like that, you know. We're down there, we're like bonding, we're cuddling in bed, we're like looking at all these old pictures of her and things like that, and just, you know, reconnecting. Like, it's my first spend the night with my mom. Like, it's like a sleepover, but now we're older, so it's not really like the mom dynamic. It was more like, I love you as my mom, but I kind of got like a big sister, like, if that makes sense. It was more as if she was a great friend, because that's the relationship we were having. So, anyways, because she had been gone in prison for so long, she didn't really, I guess, know how to step in and be a mom. I will give her that. I mean, how can you come along and parent this, 13-year-old girl when you haven't even been around, So I think that that's kind of where it's really started to go wrong, because there wasn't a parental relationship. It was a friend. So we're good. We set the base. Let's move on. I ride the bus to school. And y'all remember whenever we had our backpacks and we jacked them all the way up. Like, I mean, like, we pulled the straps as tight as possible and we walked around with like holding the straps like we were cool, and like that's when I think like felines were popular, like Rockaware, like baby fat earrings. Like, I mean, y'all remember, like, I need to set the scene in this time period. So I'm like walking in, I think for my first day, like, I'm trying to be cute. This is a new school, Metro Atlanta. I don't really know what to expect. So I think I walked in, I was like in this like Rockaware jumpsuit. I'm pretty sure it was like a Rockaware jumpsuit. And I remember I got off the bus and I was so nervous. And I walked in through the lunchroom and I automatically went to go and get my breakfast. So we go through the line and I go to checkout. I don't know my lunch number, but she's able to pull me up by my name. I tell her it's my first day, that my mom had registered me or something like the day before when we did paperwork, blah, blah, blah. She says, well, you don't have any money on your lunch account, so you're really not supposed to be eating because there's nothing on here. I feel like that's booty, because if a kid's hungry, a kid's hungry, you know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. So as soon as I'm about to just like leave the breakfast tray, I hear this voice. I say that like it's God, but I hear this voice and it goes, I'll take care of her breakfast. And it's a boy, it's a man. And I just like turn and there's this Latino man and he has a low cut. He's got a nice smile. He's dressed real nice. He actually smells really good. And he has a permanent grill in his mouth. And he has tattoos. Why you have tattoos and we're only 13, 14? I don't really know. But you have tattoos. And I was like, are you sure? And he said, yeah, for sure. And I was like, okay. And then he just hands over a wad of cash to the lunch lady. Of course, like I'm all flustered and I don't know. I came from a house where I'm not even allowed to talk to boys. So I don't even know what to say to you at this point. So after that, I take my lunch tray or my breakfast tray and I go to the table and I just kind of walk off from him because I mean, what do you want me to say? So I sit down and I am eating my breakfast. And the next thing you know, he comes up behind me and he says, so I could buy you breakfast and you can't even eat with me? Oh, I'm, I just, I've never, I mean, I was speechless. I was like, sure, like you can sit down. So he sits down across from me and he's like, hey, almost slipped his name. What are we going to call him? Let's call him Jorge. Heavy on the whore. Extra heavy on the whore. So here's Jorge. He introduces himself and I tell him, of course, my name's Ashley. I just moved here and we're just talking. And he says, well, can I get your number? I don't have a phone. I let him know I just moved here and my mom's the only one that has a phone. He says, can I get your mama's number? Like, I guess that's fine. So I give him my mama's number and I don't think anything of it. Later on that night, I'm back at home. I go up in, my mom's room. I'm telling her about my day, things like that. And I'm like, are you sure I can take your phone for a while? And she says, yeah, go ahead. Okay. So remember, I told y'all we're in a townhome and it's only 2 bedrooms. So I'm sharing my room with my mom and then my grandma and her boyfriend, and we have 1 bathroom. When he called, my grandma's boyfriend was downstairs, my grandma was in her room, and my mom was in our room. So the only place I had to talk to him was going to be, didn't have privacy, was the bathroom. So I went into the bathroom and I just remember like sitting on the bathroom sink and putting my back and then like putting my feet in the sink. I don't remember. And I just remember like running water on my feet like while I talked to him. I don't know why that's like such a core memory for me, but I did. Okay. So we talked for hours. It's like one of those, I mean, like those conversations where you talk all night and it's like, okay, well, see you at school in the morning. Where I could, because y'all have to remember, I came from Fred's house and Fred didn't allow me to look out a window. Like Fred was so strict. So to come to my mom's house where she just so freely gives the phone, it was an adjustment. What do you mean I can just take your phone and talk to this boy? What do you mean you don't care? She didn't really know how to be a parent, but she also didn't want to be too strict on me because she had just got me back in her life. So we just had that type of relationship. Me and Jorge talked all night. We might as well start going together that night. And months pass. I'm starting to like wear his necklaces. He's taking me out to eat. And he's building these habits in my life that make me feel secure. It made me feel loved and cared for. But on the other end of those, him buying my food, him maybe buying my clothes, making sure that I was taken care of, he also was very controlling. Like I wasn't able to talk to other boys at my school, or I wasn't able to, even like make any type of contact with them without it being an issue. But me being young and naive and not really knowing a healthy love, that was not a red flag to me. I just felt like, oh, you care about me, you love me, you just want me to be yours. Okay. So I need y'all to realize, like, as I continue on with the story, this is a child who came from a abandonment issue household, whose mom wasn't there, who, like I said, we grew up in a emotionally and physically abusive household with my stepmom. And then, my dad worked nights. So I didn't really know what love felt like. So this felt like love. This felt like somebody who really cares for me. We got tired of talking on my mama's phone all the time. He bought me my first cell phone, and we were able to communicate all the time. I remember like laying in my mama's bed, like she is passed out and I'm under the covers texting, trying not to laugh, and sitting in the bathroom all night talking on the phone to him. So whatever. He definitely met me first day and locked me down. I would say nothing really stood out to me other than the jealousy for the first 6 to 9 months. It felt like this was just regular relationship things, but it really started to show issues when he had random mood swings and anger outbursts. I noticed that he would always be ready to fight somebody. And I didn't really know what that stemmed from. I just thought like it was just like, oh, like you have issues, I have issues, like let's bond. Let me love these issues out of you. I didn't really know because his parents were great people, his sisters were great people, and I just didn't know why he was so angry. Again, I'm gullible. I mean, I grew up, I felt like in a box at my dad's house. I didn't know about anything. So I'm like looking at his tattoos and can see that there's numbers on him. I can see that there's dice on him and things like that. It's the furthest thing from my mind because, like I said, I'm really just a kid. And I come to find out that he had been clicked into a gang. He wasn't a gang member. And but he always told me, well, I love you. So I choose you over, the gang life. I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I want to be with you. So I just believed him and thought to myself that, wow, like you really love me. Okay. So like I said, we're 6 to 9 months in. Let's get to a little bit further. So now we are moving into my own house with my mom. We get our own townhome, and guess where it's at? The next door to my grandma's. So we share a wall with my grandma. These people moved out, so we move in. So I finally get my own room. My mom has her own room, and we share one bathroom, and then we have a downstairs. When we move into the townhome, I'm probably 15 years old. Jorge is spending the night with me almost every night. Maybe not every night, 3 nights a week. He's spending the night at my house. I've never had this freedom. I've never even been able to talk on the phone to boys at my dad's house. And now within a year and a half later, He's spending the night with me. So obviously, physical things are happening. My mom was so oblivious and nothing like a mother to where things would be going on in that room and she would walk in on it and be like, oh my gosh, y'all are so crazy, and shut the door. Like, I just need that to sit in. And I didn't think anything of it. I just thought that this was normal life. Like, this is fine. And now that as a mom, I'm looking at my 17-year-old, I wish you would bring a girl in this house. I wish you would be doing something in my house. I wish I would walk in that room. And then this even more sad thing is that I have a daughter that's going to be 14 this year. And I can't even imagine her, like, I could throw up and me walking in and like laughing about it and walking back out like it's okay. Okay, so yeah, that was crazy. So anyways, but she got along with Jorge great. My mom and Jorge were best friends. They talked all the time. Heck, they hung out sometimes when I wasn't even around. At this point, I had made the cheer squad at my new school. So I would be at cheer practice where I had games and they would hang out without me. And I didn't think anything of it. It is what it is. When my mom had gotten our townhome, she had started a landscaping job. That was the only job that would really hire her as a felon and fresh out of jail. So when she got the job, we had just enough money really to make rent and, like we grocery shopped at like Dollar Tree. I mean, in Dollar General. Like I told you, we had with the neighborhood, there were so many stray cats. So my mom has this obsession with cats. Don't get me wrong, I love cats. I have my own cat. But my mom, like I feel like was filling voids with cats, and her mom was too. And maybe that's a drug addict. I didn't. No, I'm not trying to make like any shots at anything, but most of the people I've seen that like have an obsession with a cat, like multiple cats, is someone with an addiction. Like when I say multiple cats, I mean like 7, 8. So we started off, we took one off the streets. That one ended up being pregnant. That one had her babies. And my mom got too attached to those babies and said she couldn't give them up. So in our one townhome, we probably had like 8 cats. And I know that sounds crazy, but we did. And then my grandma, I think, had 3 next door. And then, of course, all the stray cats outside. My point is that we even like bought their cat litter from like Dollar Tree and Dollar General at the time. And cat litter is cat litter anyway. Like it might smell like pee. But I'm gonna tell you something. Cat litter from Dollar General smells terrible. Like it does not soak up anything. So like that's just was like our grocery store. Like I didn't see the inside of a Walmart. I didn't see the inside of like a Publix. Our food was TV dinners and ramen noodles and Pop Tarts. And sometimes we didn't even have that. So Jorge would always fill in for me and he would always feed me. His family would always feed me. They're Hispanic. So I always had rice, beans, chicken, mole, everything. I mean, anytime we didn't have food at home, I went to Jorge's house. His mama's always cooking. And so I really appreciated his family because there would have been so many nights where I didn't eat if it wasn't for them. So I had grown to love them. I had grown to love him because I felt like that he was really showing that he loved me and cared for me. He eventually, like I said, my mom only made enough to cover the townhome and the occasional bills and like our food from Dollar General. So Jorge started paying for some of my mama's bills sometimes whenever we would come across even harder times. There were times we didn't have power. Uh, there were times where I was like washing, like cheerleading, Spanx, things like that in the sink, and I would hang them up in the locker because we didn't have a washing machine with power at home. And nobody knew about it that I was cheering with or, any other sports we did. So that was really hard. But I did notice that Jorge started to give her more money to, take care of us, make sure we were taken care of. So that made me love Jorge even more. And at this point, Jorge and I had only been physical argument wise maybe twice. He got really, really mad one night. I think I had asked him about, I can't even remember what the argument was about. Maybe like about watching something else while he was watching something on TV, and he like spazzed. He was like, "You always like wanting something different. Like, why can't I just watch what I want to watch?" And I was like, "Dude, like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you acting like this?" He would just have random outbursts, and I could never understand like why he was always so cranky. And like I said, his family was great. And I was like, okay. And at that point, that's whenever he had hit me the first time across my face. And of course, like once he would hit me, it would be like I had already been hit before when by my stepmom, who had been like physically abusing me for years. So it, I don't really know like how to say this. Um, it didn't make me feel hmm, like something was wrong. It made me. It didn't make me be like, you're not supposed to do this. Of course I knew like that's not good, but I've already been beat on. So it was kind of like maybe I deserve that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that to him. And I know that like that sounds so sick saying that now as an adult and knowing like I was a little girl. But yeah, it made me be like, okay, well, I shouldn't have said that. I pissed him off, you know? I was just that was the mentality. Like, and I just want everybody to keep remembering I was a child. The second time, it was when I started realizing that he had a bad drinking problem. And at this point, we are probably like 15. And I thought he was drinking casually at like high school parties. I thought he was drinking like maybe on the weekends, but I also had a mom that was a druggie and a grandma that drank all the time. So I didn't feel like alcohol was that big of a deal. I'm like, my grandma works. She had this like hotel and as the front desk person, she still has a job. Like I didn't ever have a want to drink the alcohol, but um it was okay that he did because he still held a job. He still took care of me. So who am I to say this consistent person that I've been with for a year at this point or a year and a half at this point can't drink? You pay more bills at my mama's house. You keep my lights on at my mama's house. You're the reason I'm eating. If me and him like had our little spurts of where we would break up, for like a week or, like whenever you're in high school and, like you'd be like on and off, like that was kind of how we were. And I would always hate those weeks because I knew the only meals I was going to have was going to be breakfast at school and lunch at school. But if I was not with Jorge, I probably wasn't eating dinner. Um, so it was like a catch 22. I think I was just so desperate to where I thought to myself, this may be bad, but what's worse, being at home with my mom that, you know, doesn't really have food, or maybe get hit, but just try not to make him mad. You know what I mean? Okay. So like I said, we're fast forwarded about a year and a half in. At this point, um, my mom has stopped going to her NA classes. She is slowly kind of starting to use again. I can tell the patterns are there. Um, I wasn't really familiar with meth at all, or like what you act like on meth. Um, I just remember my grandma would always like bring stuff over for my mama, and she'd be like, "Hey, honey, I got these different pills from so and so. Do you want some?" Okay, let's just sit there for a second. Your your daughter is a drug addict. My mom's probably been snorting cocaine since she was about 12 years old, if we're going to be honest. Um, Like she's been dabbling in drugs for a long time. And she struggled with it. She got into meth. She's out. She finally has her daughter. And you, as her mother, think the smart thing to do is to constantly offer her pills. Okay, so everyone knows what's going to happen. Those pills are not going to give you a meth high. So what happens? She relapses. You know, she's dibbling, dabbling, whatever. So at my house, my mom is either, I need to set this scene too. So here is Jorge's house, and with his parents who love me, and they don't ever care if I stay over there. I think they just knew my mom wasn't that great. And then here's my house. Jorge's house, I'm eating, I'm showered, we have power. I love his mom and dad. I might make him mad. He's getting a little bit more abusive and starting to put his hands on me more. But this is an if. I know my mom is relapsing. I know she's met this creepy guy and he's also a drug addict and he's going to be there. And we might not have power and we damn sure ain't got food in the fridge. As a 15-year-old, which one are you going to go with? Of the less of two evils. I'm going to go to Jorge's house, right? Okay. So, we're building deeper and deeper into a relationship. I've been with him for a long time. I feel like I'm in love with Jorge. It's an up and down roller coaster. I've got a trauma bond to him basically. So anyways, my mom's tweaking. She's up for days at a time. She's talking about drinking a cap full of bleach, cleaning her system before she goes to parole. She's just on the couch. Sometimes she's sick, sometimes she's not. Worried, like, are people paying attention to us? Like, has that car across the street been sitting there for a couple days? Like, do you think they look familiar? Do you know them? Like, why are they sitting there? Blah, blah, blah. Like, just regular drug activities, and her boyfriend, same. Like, don't even get me started on him. Like, I hate him because my mama told me when she got out of prison, she was going to focus on me and her and building our bond. Well, the guy came and he never moved out. He came to visit my mama one time and never fucking left. And that was weird because we have one bathroom, you have a teenage daughter, and why are you letting this man who's also a drug addict move in? Like, no one, like, you just some messed up shit happened in that house. And it's just, I'm not even gonna talk about it, but just some messed up stuff happened. Anyways, so I'm always at Jorge's house at this point. Okay, so we are driving in a car one day. Jorge and I are on the way home to his house. He's speeding a little bit. Like I said, he's a little bit of a troublemaker. But I feel like where we lived, they kind of like knew his name. Like, I feel like they kind of knew the cars that he drove. He really didn't care. He was kind of just like a reckless type of person. So anyways, we're driving in a car one day and we get blue lighted. I think nothing of it. I'm sitting in this car and this time I'm probably 15 and a half. I think it's spring before I turn 16. So we're in this car. Yep, spring before I turn 16. We're in this car, and all of a sudden, Jorge starts freaking out. I say, Jorge, it's like you're just gonna get a ticket. No, no, no. Like, and I'm just looking at Jorge, like, what is it? Like, what's wrong? We pull over, and before this officer gets out of his car, and if you are my father, I need you to get off right now. And if you know my children, I need you to just never, ever judge them for things that their mom has done. So anyways, so he says, Ashley, we are about to go down. I say, what do you mean we're about to go down? He says, I've got cocaine on me and we're both going to get charged with it if you don't stuff this in your pants. I'm just going to let that marinate. I'm 15. I look at Jorge and I say, "You've got what in your pants?" And he says, "I have cocaine and we're going to go down for it. You're going to go to jail. I'm going to jail. You're not ever going to see me again. I need you to put this in your pants. This is a male officer. He cannot search you. Actually, shove this in your pants. We are going down." I don't even know what to think. I am shocked. Cocaine? Where's the cocaine coming from? Cocaine? Who's doing cocaine? Why do we have cocaine? Like, I have so many questions. I'm not a ride or die. I got questions. He reaches in his pants and pulls a baggie out and throws it at me and says, "Shove this in your pants now." What do? I shove it in my pants and I start bawling. I'm sitting on freaking cocaine in my pants, baggied up. I am a mule right now. And he says, "Act as normal as you can." How can I act normal? Here comes the officer. I'm crying. I'm looking out the window. And the officer says, with the little hat, and the window goes down. "Hey, officer. Hey, blah, blah, blah. Do you know I pulled you over? Blah, blah, blah. No, I don't. You were speeding." And I'm crying. And he leans over and he says, "Ma'am, are you okay?" No, I'm not. But I can't say that because my love of my life is going to go to jail and I'm going to go to jail too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, no, I'm not okay. I'm just dying. And I'm like, I'm fine. He jumps in and he says, "She's okay. We're just arguing. That's why she's crying. That's why I was speeding, was because we were just trying to get home and she's upset. I'm sorry for speeding." And the officer just basically says, "Okay, well, I'm going to write you a warning. You need to slow down." It was like the perfect lie. Thank God we got out of it. He walked off. As soon as he walked off, I reached my pants and then I throw this at him and I'm going off. I'm yelling, "What is this? Why do we have this? What is going on? Like, oh, wait, I didn't even know. I'm freaking out." And he looks at me so calmly and says, "Do you think Discount Tire pays your mama's bills?" Yeah, because that's how gullible and innocent I am. I do. He said, "You think Discount Tire was paying your phone bill? Do you think Discount Tire was helping your mama when y'all didn't have no food?" No, selling this shit did. Y'all, I could cut the mic right now. I have a drug dealing boyfriend after I've been pissed off at my mama for selling drugs and missing out on my whole life. And I just was accessory to that. And I remember I sat in the car and he continued to drive. And I remember him talking to me and yelling at me. And I zoned out. Because I, it was a feeling I had felt before. It was the same feeling. It was the same feeling that I had when I found out my mom was not dead. It was a stab in the back. It was so familiar. It felt like I was a hypocrite. I've been so mad at having these feelings against my mama for selling drugs and not being there for me and all these things. And you mean to tell me you've been dating a guy that's been doing it too? I've been telling you and crying to you about how I just got my mama back and how she's relapsing and how she is, missed out on all my life. And you've just been doing this behind my back? And then turns out, you know what he tells me? Your mama's known this whole time. She knew that's how I was helping her pay bills. So not only did my boyfriend know, but my mama knew, and nobody told me. So once again, here is Ashley in the middle of the crossfire of other people's shit. And I think that that's when the switch of my life in Georgia just really flipped to like not caring. I think at that point, I just realized that drugs are bad. I don't want to do them, but they do pay the bills. I am eating, you know? Like, is it that bad that he sells this? Is it that bad? And I know that everybody's probably thinking, well, why didn't Ashley just call her dad? Why didn't Ashley just tell her dad that she isn't a drug home? Because I had my freedom. I had a guy that I thought loved me. I had my mama. I was pissed off at my dad. He lied about my mom. No, I'm not going back to your house. You're a liar. I don't respect you. You let me get beat on. No, I don't want to live with you. I would take this life any day than be back in your house where I'm in prison. And it got to a point to where I found out that he was using. And that's where his anger outburst came from. That's why he was always so quick to fight. You know, just crazy. Was because he was on coke. And I loved him, I thought. I was like, I can't, he's done so much for me. And that's like where the abuse cycle kind of starts with the abuser is they do so much for you. They love bomb you, you know? And as an adult, we know that now. But then I just felt like that this was just love. This was normal. And I didn't realize that this was a trap. So I think I break up with him. I go back to my mom's. Like I hear them having sex all the time. I remember one time I walked in my mom's room. I was looking for something, and I remember it just pissed me off real bad. But I'm Christian, and I haven't always lived like a Christian, but I've always believed in God, and I've always had like a certain respect for things. Like I hate the word GD. You know, I know I dropped the F bomb, but like GD is like the worst for me. Like I cringe, like I can't help it. And like for some reason, the Bible on the floor is just, I can't do it. Like I can't stand when the Bible's on the floor. I don't know. It's like the same way people feel about the American flag on the floor, I feel about the Bible. But I walked into my mom's room and I was looking to get something. And I remember I was at her dresser and I looked in the mirror, and then in the reflection in the mirror, it was a book. Like she had a headboard like this, and I guess like because I would like hear them having sex and the headboard would hit, she had a Bible in between the headboard and the wall. And I just remember being like, that's disgusting. You know what I mean? Like I was any better. I mean, I had a drug dealing boyfriend. I don't know. It was my whole mental was crazy down there. Like I don't I don't even think I was logical. I don't even think I was sane. But anyways, so I broke up with him, and I ended up. My dad called me home for the summer, and I came back to South Carolina. I worked at Arby's for a little while. If y'all remember that, I got like a prepaid phone. Of course, you know, I missed Jorge. I would text him and, you know, see what he was doing while I was gone for the summer. And I went back to Georgia after the summer was over, started back to school. I never told my dad anything that was going on. Like, I will say, like, this time in my life, he had no idea. Like, none. He didn't know I was, like, getting hit on. He didn't know nothing. Definitely didn't know I shoved cocaine in my cooch. Oh gosh. Please nobody tell him that. I go back to Georgia to start school, my 11th grade year. So that space between us was good. I will say that it gave me a little bit more of my independence back for sure. once I get back, I still love Jorge, and we are trying to work it back out, but it's different. We're starting to practice for basketball cheer. I'm with Jorge, but he's still kind of doing coke, so he's still having anger mood swings. We're just like breaking up, getting back together. But while I'm in cheer season and practice, I notice that there is a new guy at school, and he was real tall. He was like 6'4". He had just transferred to play ball for us, and his name was Milton. And if you're watching this and you went to school with me, you're gonna remember when this happened. That was crazy. Whatever happened to Milton? Hi, Milton. So sorry. But anyway, so Milton was cute, and he always tried to talk to me after, because he was at basketball practice and I was at cheer. And at this point, me and Jorge were on a break, and Milton came up to me and basically, he didn't know Jorge. He didn't know the toxic relationship we've had. He didn't know the ups and downs. And he just came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I think you're pretty. Can we hang out sometime?" Of course, I think Milton's cute. So I'm like, sure. And cheer practice is over. So Milton and I are walking to the car, and he's like, "Hey, like, let's go get something to eat after practice." So sure. So we're walking in the parking lot, and this is like the second guy I've talked to in years. You know what I mean? Like I've always been with Jorge. And all of a sudden, as I'm walking to get into Milton's car, and he had a nice car. He came from like a nice family, um, like a nice car. Like it was just so different than what I have been used to with Jorge. All of a sudden, I hear the B word, the A word, the P word, the N word, and I just remember that I heard Jorge's voice. And I just turned around and I'm like looking at Milton and I'm like, oh God, oh gosh. And then here comes Jorge swinging on Milton. I guess Jorge was showing up to surprise me after cheer practice to try to work things back out. And there I am walking out of cheer practice with Milton. And he just hits him and they're like going at it. And Milton is tall. Jorge is only like 5'11", and just knocks him out. And Jorge stands over Milton and he says, taller they are, harder they fall. And I remember crying in the parking lot. And I was like, no, 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 please stop, please stop. Like, he was just walking to me to the car. But I mean, I'm just like losing. I'm trying to pull Jorge. Like, I mean, you got to think, I'm still a kid. I'm still a kid. This is how, whatever, macho he was. So he was like, get in the car. And I just wanted to like tone it down. I just wanted everything to calm down and just like let the fire out. Like the other basketball players were helping Milton and like they, whatever. And then the fight got separated. And I was like, oh my God. So I just go get in the car with Jorge. I'm getting cussed out left and right. And then he starts crying. And then he's like, Ashley, please. Excuse me. He's like, how could you do this to me? Blah, blah, blah. And so what happens? I feel like I did it. It's my fault. So I internalize that blame that I hurt you and I'm wrong. Like I'm being a hoe or I'm doing something. But like it was just such a messed up thing. So anyways, that was, like I said, we were beginning basketball practices and cheers for the upcoming season. A couple weeks later, I'm pregnant. So yeah. A couple weeks later, I'm pregnant. I didn't even know I was pregnant. It was one of those things where like I didn't even keep up with my period or anything. But later on, I was able to track, whenever you go to the doctor, your ovulation date, like he knew what he was doing. Once he saw me about to move on, he knew what he was doing. And then there was also some other complications that was in with that I don't really want to talk about. But yeah, that was definitely a setup for sure. Anyways, so I'm just living my life. I'm still cheering. I'm not even thinking about it. Me and Jorge going on. He's beefing with Milton at the school, but they're not fighting or anything. So that's fine. I just worked out with Jorge just to settle things. I'm not having drama. Milton and I never speak again. I don't even know what he's doing with his life. I don't know where he's at. I don't know what, he continued to play basketball. This is my 11th grade year right before I came back to South Carolina. So anyways, I'm cheering. I'm a back spot. I'm just, lifting girls up, throwing them, whatever. And I'm back and forth at my mom's house. And I remember her asking me, hey, I haven't bought you tampons in a while. So this is probably November, beginning of November. And I'm like, well, you might not have, but Jorge did because I've been staying at his house. She said, are you sure you've had your period? And I said, yeah. I couldn't really remember, I didn't keep up with any of that. So I'm still cheering, still toe touching, still doing whatever. I'm realizing I'm a little bit sick. I didn't think anything of it. Like I said, I'm gullible, guys. It was probably December at this point. Yeah, I'd probably say almost Christmas. It was almost Christmas break in December. And I remember asking Jorge, hey, do you remember the last time I had my period? And he said, yeah, just a couple weeks ago. And I was like, I don't really remember that. And he was like, well, let's just go get your pregnancy test. And I said, okay. We go to Dollar General or Dollar Tree, and we get the little rectangle ones that you gotta do the little dropper. And I remember I was like, okay. We pulled up to a gas station. He had to get gas. And I said, okay, I'm gonna go in this gas station and take this pregnancy test. And he said, okay. And I was like, okay. I go to the little place where they have all the drinks and the coffees. I remember getting the styrofoam coffee cup, and I snuck it into the bathroom with me. I'm peeing in this coffee cup, and I'm using this dropper. Before I even finish doing a full drop of the second drop, there's 2 lines. Of course, I'm sitting in the bathroom just like, oh crap, there's 2 lines. I left the coffee cup full of piss in the stall on the back of the toilet and ran out with this little test. I go up to Jorge and I say, hey, Jorge, there's 2 lines. He tells me, 2 lines? Well, it's a Dollar General test. Your pee can be too hot and it's going to come out positive. What do? I believe him a little bit. I'm like, okay, well, maybe you're right. So I tell him that I want to get another test. We tell Jorge's parents, they take us to the health department, and we get one. And it came out, of course, positive. They give us paperwork, how to sign up for WIC, everything. Okay, I know it's about to be Christmas. I'm not telling nobody nothing. So I go and I shove all this paperwork in my book bag. Okay? I leave my book bag at home and I head to South Carolina for Christmas break. I'm with my dad, I'm with my family. I'm still kind of throwing up, but nobody's going to know that I'm pregnant. I don't even know what to say, I remember it was Christmas Eve. We're riding in the car, and all of a sudden, my dad answers the phone. He's in the front seat, I'm in the back, and I can hear my mama yelling. And I was like, why is my mama calling my dad? And why is she yelling like that? And then all I could see was his eyes dart in the rearview mirror and look at me in the back seat. And I just knew my stomach sank. I was like, oh no. And I just remember he said, okay. And he hung up the phone and he said, so you weren't going to tell me you were pregnant? You were just going to keep getting bigger? And I sat there in silence. I don't even think I said anything back. I didn't know what to say. My mom found my pregnancy paper because she went to go write a man in prison or a friend and was looking for notebook paper while I was gone and found my pregnancy paper that I shoved in my book bag. And he found out Christmas Eve and home. It was awkward. I had gotten a lot of new clothes the next day. I had to return them. And yeah, so I ended up not even going to the doctor. By the time I went to the doctor, they could tell me what Jaden was. And back then, you didn't even know until that you were like over 20 weeks. Was so neglected that like his whole I was still cheering. My parents knew I was pregnant, and when I got back for actual basketball season, I remember I was putting on my cheer stuff, and my coach, Britton, she was so sweet. She called me into her office and she said, "Ashley, is there something you need to tell us?" And I was like, "Mm-mm." And she said, "Ashley, you can't be a back spot and be throwing girls pregnant. You can't be doing toe touches and be pregnant." And I was like, "Please, please, please don't take cheer from me, blah, blah, blah." And she still let me like dress out in like my warm ups and still cheer. It was so sweet. I love that about her. So I had a belly and I kept cheering. And then a big twist happened. But y'all are going to have to listen to that on the next episode, because we've been yapping for a lot longer than the first episode, but I know that y'all didn't want that one to end. But yeah, so remember, guys, at this point, I'm pregnant. We just found out Jaden's a boy. I'm finishing up my cheer. It's starting the new year, and Jaden is due in July. So remember this timeline, because some crazy stuff is going to happen in episode 3. Thanks for joining me for a piece of Ash After Dark. Bye.